Boris Burgos here for Slap News with the team. We've got Big Jeeves. We've got Ding Dong in the house. Power Slap number 5 coming back for, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4 title matches going down. The biggest Power Slap event to date going down October 25th. Daddy Dana giving us the gift that keeps on giving a Power Slap. Jeeves, how you doing, my man?
Bro, I am so stoked. I think, what was it, Power Slap 3, they added super heavies, and every event since I've been asking Frank for this, and they blessed us with it. They gave us a whole division, super heavy, and now we are getting the first inaugural title. And there's some big names, man. I can't wait to talk about this one.
Yeah. Ding, I know you like the big guys. You like seeing the Hawaiian flavor, the Puerto Rico Prince, my man.
Man.
What do you think of seeing these guys?
Well, the first things first, man. I wanted to see the brothers go up against each other, but this was a close second. Hawaiian on Hawaiian. The crazy Hawaiian being very experienced. Then you got Kalani coming in at 6'5", massive guy, football career. I mean, look at what he did in his first fight. I don't know, man. I don't know, but I couldn't think of a better matchup for the super heavyweight title, like Jeeves said.
Yeah, I could agree with you on that one, my man. Geez, let's talk about it. The crazy Hawaiian
Yep.
coming into Power
Boy.
Slap. You know, originally we've seen his brother. You know, he was a little slow to the party to get into it, but he's certainly taken the Power Slap community by storm. One of the OGs in the sport. What do we know about the crazy Hawaiian, and how does he keep getting it done match after match?
Man, these are those chin check boys, man. Those boys were no slumps before Power Slap. They were doing their thing like from a long time, and the crazy Hawaiian definitely made a name for himself amongst those circles. And he, like you said, he's got the history coming into this, and he carries the weight of Hawaii on his shoulders. He is so proud of his heritage, of the people supporting him. You see them in the crowd every time. I think this is a huge match for Hawaii in general. Like, maybe we didn't get to see the brothers. I know the Hawaiian fans don't really like to see the Hawaiians going at each other, but like I said, this is a win either way. However this match goes, the title is coming home to Hawaii. The first inaugural super heavyweight title of Power Slap is coming home to Hawaii one way or another. And we've seen some crazy stuff from, excuse me for lack of better terms, from crazy Hawaiian. As you can see on the stat sheet, he's ambidextrous. He will switch it up on you. He has the ability to strike just as devastatingly with his left as he does with his right. And I think that amongst a lot of things about him makes him a very special and dangerous striker. I am excited for this brother. I know he's going to be serving up that smack salad come October 25th. And like you said, Ding, I don't think there could have been a better matchup with him going against the new guy who really shocked us all. Kalani was a great entry into Power Slap. He got his first win very definitively, showed us what kind of power that he has. But men's crazy Hawaiian has shown us that he can take those big slaps too. His match with Micah at Power Slap 4 was no joke. They both went it back and forth, and he took it on decision. So I have hopes for crazy Hawaiian to possibly walk away with that strap. But Kalani's definitely going to give him a run for his money, man.
You know, I mean, in stature, walking around at 385, these guys certainly bring a personality that's also larger than life when it comes to, you know, the realm of Power Slap. You know, the fanfare, even though there's only, you know, 300 odd people there in the audience, you know, but we see it through and through that the Hawaiian fans back it. The fans in America love to see these big boys get up there and throw it down. And we know that the crazy Hawaiian can, you know, bring, you know, the smack talk just as good as anybody in the entire organization. You know, he feels at home here at Power Slap. He feels very, very comfortable. You know, he's racked up, you know, a 2-0 victory. And I think we've been very critical of a lot of the super heavyweights who may not have been able to perform athletically as great as we hoped that they would have, you know, compared to some of the guys a little bit lighter, you know, in heavyweight. But I think the crazy Hawaiian has proven up until this point that he has been exactly what has been advertised. You know, he's come here, he's delivered. You know, I think, Uncle Micah is, a very, formidable foe. I think he's going to continue to go on and have great success here in Power Slap. So I think that victory in itself really solidified, and cemented him for this first ever opportunity at a super heavyweight title. But we know Kalani coming in. I think Kalani really, being, an NFL, lineman, Jacksonville Jaguars, had a cup of tea there. Most recently just finished the USFL where he was, playing back in June. He came 1 month out of the actual, playing his season there and getting up on the Power Slap stage. We know he's got an athletic background. Ding. What have you seen from Kalani in the one match that he has that has you excited going into this?
Well, I think we don't see confidence like Kalani's, right? You don't see somebody who's debuting and is as confident, who's so calm, collective, dialed in as what we saw Kalani on. He knocked Cody Vallo out. What seemed like with ease. He had no doubts that that was what was going to happen, and I think that that level of confidence is very dangerous for any competitor. On top of that, I mean, this guy's huge. Like you mentioned, 6'5", 350 pounds. He's an athletic super heavyweight. Maybe not as large as the other guys as far as the weight goes, but he definitely looks just as big, if not bigger. I think that confidence factor is something that we were very, very surprised by. This guy believes he can get it done. He is Hawaiian. Unfortunately, we haven't seen him get hit yet, so we can't really talk about what that's going to look like, how the chin's going to go. But I will say there's a guy out there in the world named Zales, and he can tell you that the Crazy Hawaiian has a button, and you can find it. So I'm thinking that Kalani's confidence will probably leak over into this matchup, and he'll think that he'll be able to find that button that David Zalewski did over at Slap Fight Championship.
Jeeves, what did you see of Kalani? You got to meet him in person. You got to shake his hand. Seeing the physique, the mentality, the demeanor. I mean, take a look at this face, man. If that's not a mugshot, I don't know what is.
Man, like you don't, in day-to-day life, you don't get to run into humans this large all the time. And not just large, he is a solid boy. You ever seen those warnings on a pop machine that says do not rock or shake? This is the type of man you don't rock or shake because he's quiet. He's very, very soft-spoken. But when we saw what he did on his first match, it's a different person up there, man. Like what I saw that day showed me that this dude definitely has some staying power within the super heavyweight division. Because like you kind of touched on previously, Corey, the power of the strikes have maybe been a little bit lackluster, or the bigger guys are just able to take them better. So maybe it's that perception that we're getting, right? Mm-hmm. But these were both super heavies, and it was a super heavy hitting another super heavy, and that shit was wild. Like, I can't wait for fans to eventually get the opportunity to watch this at the Apex live one day, because we always say this, but this was one of the strikes you felt. Like, I think everybody was up out of their seats in that stadium when Kalani made this strike. So after seeing that, I see why he's getting this title shot, because it will be one for the fans to be very excited about. And depending on where they place it on the night, we don't know yet. It could lead to that excitement just rolling all through the night, like we've seen at Power Slap events with great matchups.
Totally. You know what? I can tell you, I mean, we're looking here, a guy that's 35 pounds less than a Crazy Hawaiian. But I can tell you, back in 2018, I played in a charity football game for Luke Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks at the time. And some of the linemen from the Seattle Seahawks partaked in this charity football game. And if you think a guy 350 pounds in the NFL is not athletic, I will tell you something else going for you. This guy being almost, 150 pounds heavier than I am, could outrun me every day, is much more agile, soft butter hands at catching the ball, throwing the ball. Like these linemen are superior specimens. Yep. I will say that firsthand of actually being on the field with one of them. And so these guys don't get enough credit for their athleticism. Obviously, you see the running backs, you see the corners, you see the wide receivers, you see all the Blazers in comparison. Yeah, they're not as, fast as those guys. But these guys are incredible athletes. You see some of the guys that make incredible run blockers, getting up to the, first and second level, taking on multiple guys, being able to push that line forward, So I think, going through all this stuff, I think one, coming from Hawaii, I think you got to be tough to be able to leave that island. I think, I think there are opportunities, and I think it is under a magnifying glass, but I think it's also incredibly difficult to, for athletic or, scholastic endeavors to actually make it off the island. I don't know what the number is, but, the majority of the people never get off the rock. They never get off that island. The ones that are fortunate to go to, the mainland of the United States to follow their athletic career, and then the cultural differences, going from, oceanside community, very laid back mentality, to going to where Kalani did, in Oregon. There's a cultural shock there. There's a different pace of life. For him to be able to go through a lot of the adversity that he did, then going all the way to the East Coast in Jacksonville, Florida, which is a completely different from where he came. So to be able to go through these experiences, being able to get to those levels, excel, perform, I think it's something quite unique for us to see. Let's talk about the Kalani strike, because if you watch back that matchup against Cody Vallo, and you've seen on social media posts, with today's rule set, I mean, even the rule set of the night, did he step?
So there is the provision that we've seen in the rules where they are allowed to move their feet pre and post strike. I haven't seen the footage slow enough to decide whether what he did was pre or post strike, or was it during the strike. Do you see what I'm saying? That line just seems so fine for someone who hasn't been trained on the finer intricacies of actually reffing power slap. We just know the rules topically from reading them as media people. I think without that intricate eye, I don't know if it's that as big of a controversy. And it was also his first strike, right? So nerves, jitters, who knows what it could have been. But are we going to call it for stepping? I don't know. I'm not well versed enough to make that decision as a fan of the sport, I think.
One of the interesting things, like we were always told, before, that a power slap competitor would not get onto a main card without having experience. We know they specifically brought in Ryan Phillips to train Kalani the week of, to try to avoid, a newcomer coming in and, fouling and stuff like that, getting their grasp down. As we talk, I'm going to try really quickly to see if I can find that footage for you guys. I think actually I've got it here. Actually,
yeah, pop it up. Let's take a look.
Here we go.
It's pretty close.
Slow that down. Put it in 0.25. If you hit the gear. Playback speed, put it at 0.25. Yeah, that's a pretty clear step.
Oof. Yeah, I've never seen it at that speed, so.
But to be fair, the step was after the strike. So it was a balanced step, and the rules say a minor raise of the heel is not an infraction. So I mean,
yeah. So this is kind of my point.
They got a ref staring at his feet. I'm gonna trust the ref, man.
It happens so quickly in power slap, like from wind up to strike to heel lift. There's probably nanoseconds in between that this is happening. So let's see it here again. Does that count as minor heel lift, or?
I mean, his foot went forward, but you guys know me, man. I'm gonna trust the refs. I'm gonna trust the refs. Maybe it's an unrealistic rule for somebody 350 pounds. I don't know.
That is, yeah, it's a good point. There's a lot of
I don't know.
momentum.
That's a lot
moving
of top
around.
heavy. That's a lot of top heavy weight. I don't know about that. I mean, look at his head.
What do you
Mhm.
think, Corey? You obviously have a thought on this.
You know what? I actually think coming down and up, if you look at the natural momentum, and when you have, if you were swinging upwards, and the way, if you looked at Kalani, he actually, squashed down, and it might be because Cody Vallo is shorter. But when you're coming from below and up, the natural momentum that you have is going to continue on that upward trajectory. So if you were coming this way, the force post hit is still going to take you in that same plane. So depending on the actual technique that is being used, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to stop that momentum once you have it going. You know, I do think I do think if that strike happens again, it is called. There's a very valid point. The refs didn't call it. I actually think they missed it on that one, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. That's fair.
I think the step was I think it was actually both feet. If you actually look pre-wind up, his left heel came up, and as he transferred, it went this way. So you actually see both feet have movement. Ding's much more up on the actual verbiage of the rules and what it specifically says about it. But I think that's something that they're trying to get out of, because as you can see how devastating it was. I don't want to take away from, I think you run that match back 10 times out of 10. And I think Kalani wins that match every day. I just think going forward here in a title match, the more eyes that are on it, especially with that being out there, I don't know how much the athletic commission looks at some of this stuff, or, as they do the rule changes, they're obviously looking at tape, but it's just something I think that they'll try to get out of power slap, is the amount of momentum that has been generated from that front and back. Usually we see a step with the twisting, lifting and twisting, like your Russell Rivera on AJ, like that pivot, that boxer pivot with the hook. This was more of a front and back rocking, motion. And he obviously got off his equilibrium for him to move forward, step back. So the momentum carried him. He had to catch himself to bring it back. So he did get out of that realm. And I think from what they're looking to do to make the sport safe, I think you're going to see that adaptation where it's going to be much more feet, much more planted or surplanted without any movement or motion whatsoever.
That's a valid point. With everything that we've talked about and taken everything into consideration now, do you think the coin toss matters for Kalani in this one?
100%.
Or you think these boys, right?
100%.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think the coin toss matters? He's gonna be able to take one if he doesn't win the coin toss.
I think he'll take one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the coin toss is gonna matter. I don't think the coin toss going one way or the other ends the fight on one, no matter what. I also don't know that this goes 5. But one question for you guys that you probably would, know better than me: the material that they stand on up there, is it kind of spongy?
Correct. Yeah. Almost like
Yeah,
dojo
so I mean,
mat. Almost like
yeah,
wrestling
so
mat, dojo mat.
yeah, so I mean, you're talking about they're kind of trying to bounce anyway, and there's the material. It's not like their foot sinks in. It's meant to really just kind of bounce. So I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say whether that's prime for slapping somebody all full force. And like you said, he got off his center of gravity. I see the foot movement after the strike, which in my opinion that means that that wasn't part of the strike if he's stepping after the strike is done. But the other thing is when you go past somebody's face, now he's got to figure out how to distribute that force for the remainder of the swing, even after the person's already been hit. He's got to figure out how to stop that on his own without moving a 350-pound body with feet under him that's carrying this whole thing. Yeah, I think that they're right to get a little more specific on the verbiage and look the other way on some of the minor healers. And like you said, you said the rocking back and forth, but it feels like the material is perfect for that. Feels like you may want something more. I get it. They don't want people falling on concrete and hitting their head, but that's what you got catchers for.
We've seen how that's gone.
See, I would agree with you if it was this motion the same, but it was an articulating of the different. The left heel went up, and then as he swung down, and the right heel went up.
I see what you're saying, Corey, because that could be translated into power. Like when you do Olympic lifts and you're able to translate the power through your heels into your hips, that could be seen as a translation of power. Maybe that gives them a little bit of an edge. So I see your point too, Ding, about the being off balance on something like that. But with what Corey's explaining, I think it was a transfer of power that maybe helped him. I don't know.
I also think the coin toss becomes more important. I think for Crazy Hawaiian than it does for Kalani.
Oh, interesting.
I actually think Kalani is going to eat these. I think he's going to eat these slaps. I really do. I think the matchup is going to very much, it's going to be because we haven't seen him power slap the Crazy Hawaiian be in real danger. We've seen Uncle Micah, if you want to say shook him, but I don't think for more than a split second, I think he was, really in danger whatsoever. We have seen him, slept, back with SFC. So, we're going to see. I mean, we're going to see how this goes, through and through. But I want to know from you, Jeeves, for the Crazy Hawaiian to pull out a victory in this, what has to happen?
I think he's got to do what he always does, man. Stay rock solid, eat those hits. I'd like to see, or not even that I'd like to see, I think it might be necessary that the Crazy Hawaiian pulls out some more power than what we've seen from him at Power Slap so far. And I think that might be the difference maker in this match because we saw how hard Kalani hits. But now let me add this caveat, boys, because I thought Polar Bear Camille, I thought he hit really hard. But then when he got in front of the Crazy Hawaiian, it didn't seem like his hits were translating that way. So if that happens with Kalani, like it seems hard against someone else, but against someone like the Crazy Hawaiian who knows how to take a hit, I just think the Crazy Hawaiian's gonna have to take those hits and just do what he does every time, possibly bring some more power if he can. And yeah, it remains to be seen. I can't say that we don't know what Kalani's chin looks like, so I don't know if this will go to decision or if it'll end early. But yeah, there's going to be I think we're going to need to see some more power from the Crazy Hawaiian for sure if we're going to want to see this one end.
Ding, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I think that Crazy Hawaiian has to hit him with as much force as he can early. Being that, this guy's not tried and tested the same way that his other opponents have been, he has to hit him with something that he doesn't expect early. And reasonably, you could assume that he doesn't really expect anything because he doesn't know what it's going to feel like anyway. So I think if the Crazy Hawaiian can ruin that confidence early by showing him, like, I'm going to give you something to think about, I think that'll mess with Kalani's ability to stay focused in there, get those strikes done fairly. Like you said, he's one strike deep, and he's already fighting for a title against somebody who's a seasoned veteran. I mean, this is it. This is as veteran and prospect as you get. The bare minimum slaps you have to be a slap fighter, to be considered a slap fighter, is one. Kalani's got one. And Crazy Hawaiian's on the opposite side. He's been there. That's no knock on any of these guys. I'm not saying Kalani doesn't deserve to be up there. What I'm saying is that these guys are two trailblazers in the division in an organization that's brand new, and Kalani just happens to be the guy. And I just think that there's a lot of questions that he's got to answer that we haven't seen him answer just yet.
Yeah. I think for the Crazy Hawaiian, I think the key to victory in this, and it's going to sound kind of crazy, but I think the Crazy Hawaiian has to be a defensive fighter. I think he kind of has to be the Floyd Mayweather, and I think he has to actually do more counter than being the aggressor. I think for the key to victory for him, I think is going to be much more important for him to take the defensive side of the strike, to remain clean, Kalani with that inexperience. I think for him to be, victorious, I think he's going to have to take this into the championship rounds. He's going to remain incredibly clean. And I think for him to be successful, I think he's going to need to win a decision. So that's where I see this going for the Crazy Hawaiian to be able to be successful. What do you guys think of that?
That's an interesting take. Most people wouldn't see Power Slap as having a defensive position that you have to take. And if that's the case, and I'm going to bring up the Camille fight again, I think his defense was great in that fight. Because if Camille was hitting him as hard as he was hitting James Stonier, that fight could have went a different way. But I think it came down to his defense is what, like, he taking that hit is 50% of the equation in this sport. So
Mhm.
yeah, I agree with you on that one, bro. That's a very good point about him needing to be possibly more defensive. It would be great to see, for a lack of better terms, see the crazy Hawaiian chin check Kalani just to prove that he's the OG. But
Mhm.
hey, man, he might have to play that OG role and just go with it and maybe be more strategic.
Mhm.
I think you guys are crazy Canadians, man. Honestly, I don't. I think that that's a bag of shit. I think Kalani looked like he hit hard because of he's fighting a guy who's never been up there. And like you said, Camille looked like he hit James Stonier harder.
Hmm.
Maybe you think he did hit James Stonier harder. I don't buy it. I think the crazy Hawaiian just made him look that level of force. He just made him look like he didn't have it. And
Yeah.
again, he's got a button. We've seen that.
Mhm.
But I don't think Kalani's experienced enough to say for sure that he's going to be able to hit him anywhere near that hard. And on top of that, as you so eloquently pointed out, Corey, um, I mean he didn't. That wasn't a clean strike if you're following the rules. So what does he do when he's under the pressure of having to dish a clean strike?
Mm.
I don't know that he has as much power as we all think he has. I think it depends on who's taking the strike. We don't have numbers on these guys, so it's all speculation.
Mhm.
It's all how it sounded. How you guys saw it up front. But
Mhm.
again, I mean, he's standing up there against Cody Vallo, not against the crazy Hawaiian. So I don't think defense is going to be the key to this one. I think he's got to scare the shit out of Kalani with a big strike up front, and
Mhm.
then Kalani will know he's in deep water. His confidence will break because he's like taking the worst of the worst case scenario is that he gets hit with something he can't take.
Mhm.
So if you get him right there, but don't kill, like a martyr, right? You get him right there, but you don't necessarily all the way kill him. Strikes 2 and 3 will really hurt,
Mhm.
and he'll
Mm.
want a way out.
Yeah. Definitely appreciate that take, but I'm going to make your life incredibly difficult as a journalist because I'm going to ask you now for Kalani to pull out a victory. What has to happen, my man?
All right, we're just making the world fair. That's awesome. Sean Strickland is the middleweight champion, so
Hey,
it's
anything
fair.
could happen.
It's fair. In order for Kalani to win this fight, he needs to not drug test and juice. I mean, he has to. No, no, I was just kidding. No, I think I mean honestly he should give David Zalewski a call and find out what it was that he did to sleep the crazy Hawaiian. I mean, this guy smiles after a strike, messes around with the foam, the little foam roller that he's holding. Like he's just different, man. And I think if you're looking to get this guy out of here, with a hit, I mean, he better be understanding that there's levels to this, and the crazy Hawaiian is at the higher echelon of that level. And I just think if it's going to be a matter of you want to get him out of there, then you better hope that first strike is the only one you need. And I
Hmm.
just don't think from what we saw in the last fight that that's going to be the case for crazy Hawaiian. So maybe focus on strength training here and make sure that he's able to deliver a devastating blow that makes the crazy Hawaiian say, you know what, yeah, I don't want to, I'm good.
Yeah.
I want to take a nap.
Yeah. It's interesting because they have the crazy Hawaiian at 6'2", and I don't think he's anywhere close to 6'2". I think he's closer to 6 feet.
Oh, okay.
You
I
know,
was gonna say
but
you think he's shorter or taller.
I
Okay.
think he's shorter. Just being there in person, he's not that towering over me, to be 4 inches taller. So I
He's
don't
not
think,
taller than me either.
yeah. So I don't think he's that tall. But I think one of the keys to victory for Kalani here is that is he going to be able to refine in all of that power that he has? I hope he's been working, hope he's been training, hope he's been refining. I think the power is not the question. It's going to be the technique and hitting the button that is going to be. So I think that's going to play into this. But then the second part of the key to victory, and I don't know what it is, the crazy Hawaiian seems to make things very difficult for himself. When you see him pre-fight, he's coming in late. He's either missing flights, he's running to family obligations, he's to his parents' house and back. His family is in Vegas, is adding a ton of extra stress, a ton of extra responsibility. Post-fight, he's running back, to take care of family obligations and stuff as well. I think every time I've ever met the Hawaiian, he's always been frazzled and frantic. I've never actually seen that man calm, cool, and collected in Vegas. There seems there's always a million things going on, and is that going to play into the outcome, potentially this biggest fight? I don't know what he does for a career, but, he comes in obviously from Missouri, and, there seems to be a lot of extra stuff in his life. I don't know where he is personally right now. We haven't talked to him in a little while, but, I think that could potentially play into something in the magnitude. Obviously, his cousins, his family, there seems to be a lot of, of these guys that get into the apex. He's talking to his brother when he's up on stage, so there's different, aspects to it that are playing into it. And I think Kalani is going to be a much more formidable foe to the Crazy Hawaiian than I think, we're giving him credit for at this moment. And, if you want to say there's an upset, I think this could be an upset alert potentially, because I do think Kalani is going to open up as probably a mid-range underdog, if not quite large. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the realm of -2, if he's probably like a +240 kind of thing going into this matchup. And so we'll see. There's definitely a lot to be considered, a lot to be desired with this particular matchup. We've seen both guys, get up there and perform. And I mean, this is going to be the biggest test, and it's going to go down in history, the first ever, super heavyweight power slap matchup. Ding, I know you're going to be sitting on the edge of your seat. I'm going to give you the final words on this one.
Well, I think that there's only one guaranteed winner, and that is the great state of Hawaii. Hawaii's going to have a new champion no matter what. Whether it's a Crazy Hawaiian or a more composed, guy in Kalani. Either way, Hawaii gets a Hawaiian-born champion, and I think that that's a good day for them. So yeah, man, I'm not going to call it here, but trust me, this will be explosive, and we'll get our questions answered for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Appreciate you all. That's Ding Dong. That is Big G's, myself, Corey Sweargas. We're here at Slap News, bringing you in-depth analysis of everything slap fighting. If you're listening to us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment in the comments section below if you would like us to ask any of these fighters during a pre-fight interview with them or live in Las Vegas. Take care, guys. We love you. Much support.